My wife's contempt was sealed in a $10 gift card on my birthday. For a meal that matches your ambitions, her note said. Little did she know what ambitions truly burned inside me. While she was climbing the corporate ladder by any means necessary, I was quietly making the most important investment of my life. Sometimes the most dangerous man is the one you've already dismissed. My name is Evan Andrews, and I'm 38 years old. For the past decade, I've worked as a civil engineer specializing in sustainable infrastructure. Not the kind of job that makes headlines or turns heads at cocktail parties, but one that makes a real difference. I design bridges, tunnels, and water systems that will outlast me by a century. My work is solid, dependable, built to endure. Everything my marriage turned out not to be. Our problems began 3 years ago when I turned down a promotion that would have relocated our family to Houston. Our kids, Emma, 12, and Jason, 9, were thriving in their schools. Emma had just made the competitive swim team, and Jason had finally found teachers who understood how to work with his ADHD. Uprooting them seemed selfish, so I declined. "You've got to be kidding me," Catherine had said when I told her my decision that night. She was standing in our kitchen, still in her business attire from her marketing job. "That was a six-figure position." "I know what it was," I replied calmly, "and I also know what our kids need right now." Catherine slammed her wine glass down. "What about what I need? Another year in this mediocrity." That word, mediocrity, became her favorite weapon. Our 4-bedroom colonial in a good school district was suddenly mediocre. My reliable Honda was embarrassingly mediocre. My satisfaction with my job and its steady advancement was a celebration of mediocrity. 6 months later, Catherine landed a position at Meridian Advertising, one of the most prestigious firms in our state. Suddenly, she was attending galas, client dinners, and weekend team-building retreats. Her boss, Richard Vaughn, became a regular topic at our increasingly rare family dinners. Richard says, "At Richard's lake house, Richard thinks." I noticed a change in her wardrobe, her perfume, the late nights. I wasn't blind, but I kept hoping she'd remember what we'd built together. I focused on being a rock for Emma and Jason, who were confused by their mother's growing absence. I didn't know then that the foundation I'd spent years building was about to be tested in ways I never imagined, or that the engineering skills I'd honed designing structures to withstand catastrophic forces would soon be applied to rebuilding my own life from the ground up. The breaking point came on my 38th birthday. I didn't expect much, maybe dinner with the kids, a card. Catherine had been distant for months, barely acknowledging my existence beyond necessary household logistics. Still, birthdays had always been important in our family. That morning, I found a small envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a $10 gift card to Burger King and a note in Catherine's elegant handwriting. "For a meal that matches your ambitions. Happy birthday to my mediocre husband." I stood there, coffee mug halfway to my lips, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. Emma walked in and saw the card in my hand. "Is that your birthday present, Dad?" she asked, her eyes bright with 12-year-old curiosity. I slipped it into my pocket. "Just a little joke for Mom," I said, forcing a smile. "Hey, how about pancakes this morning?" The day went downhill from there. Catherine didn't come home that night. Client emergency, according to her text. I tucked the kids in, telling them Mom was stuck at work. Jason asked if we could have a proper birthday celebration on the weekend. "Sure, buddy," I said, ruffling his hair. "But every day with you two is already a celebration for me." After they were asleep, I sat in my home office, staring at that gift card. 15 years reduced to a $10 insult. I opened my laptop and typed Richard Vaughn Meridian Advertising into the search bar. I'd avoided investigating before, clinging to deniability. Not anymore. My phone buzzed. A message from Tom Wilson, my college roommate who now worked in corporate law. "Sorry I missed your birthday, man. How about lunch tomorrow? Something about hitting rock bottom gives you clarity." The next day, over sandwiches, I finally told Tom everything. "She's having an affair with her boss," I concluded. "I've suspected for months." Tom's face darkened. "That's rough, Evan. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Divorce seems inevitable. But the kids. There's something else you should know," Tom said carefully. "Meridian Advertising is in trouble. I heard through professional channels. They've lost major clients, and there are rumors of financial improprieties." I frowned. What kind of improprieties? The kind that interest the SEC. Richard Vaughn has a reputation for cutting corners. Tom hesitated. Listen, I shouldn't tell you this, but your timing might be perfect. Meridian's parent company is looking for quiet investment to avoid a public scandal. Major shareholders want out. A strange calm settled over me. How much would it take to become a significant shareholder? Tom looked startled. Why? You're not thinking. I have patents, I interrupted. 3 of them, for sustainable infrastructure components. I've been sitting on acquisition offers for years. Because of Catherine, Tom said, understanding dawning. You didn't want to risk the family stability. Exactly. But now, I pulled out the Burger King gift card and placed it on the table. Now I have nothing to lose. Tom stared at the gift card, then back at me. I'll make some calls. But Evan, are you sure about this? Revenge rarely works out the way people think it will. This isn't about revenge, I replied with a certainty I hadn't felt in months. It's about justice and my children's future. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and financial discussions. I sold my patents to a sustainable technology firm for $4.2 million, far more than I'd expected. With Tom's guidance, I established Cornerstone Investments, LLC, a shell company that would shield my identity during the acquisition of Meridian shares. At home, I maintained the facade of the oblivious husband. Catherine barely noticed my extended work hours, as she was rarely home herself. The children felt the growing distance, though. One night, I found Emma sitting alone in the dark living room. Sweetheart, what are you doing up? I asked, sitting beside her. Are you and Mom getting divorced? Her voice was small but direct. I took a deep breath. I don't know yet, but I want you to know something important. Whatever happens between Mom and me doesn't change how much we both love you and Jason. She doesn't act like she loves us, Emma said bitterly. She missed my swim meet again yesterday. To be with Richard. She spat the name. I was stunned. You know about Richard? Emma rolled her eyes with preteen exasperation. Dad, I'm 12, not stupid. Mom's always talking about him, texting him. She even smells different when she comes home late. My chest tightened. I pulled her into a hug. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this. I promise I'm working on making things better. Are you going to fight for us? Emma asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. With everything I have, I promised. I'm your father. That's what fathers do. The next day, Tom called with news. We've acquired 18% of Meridian's shares through various channels. The major shareholders are selling fast. They know something's coming. But Evan, there's more. Richard Vaughn has been falsifying client billing reports. He's been charging premium rates, but delivering budget work, pocketing the difference. Can you prove it? With the right access to their financial systems, absolutely. I thought of Catherine's expensive new wardrobe, the late nights, the dismissive attitude toward the life we'd built. My wife gave me a $10 coupon for my birthday, mocking my failed life. She had no idea I had secretly bought into the company she worshipped, and soon I would walk into that boardroom with one decision: to fire her lover. Let's move forward, I said. How much more do we need for a controlling interest? Catherine's transformation continued at home. She came back late one night as I was helping Jason with his science project. Building bridges with popsicle sticks? How appropriate, she remarked, her voice dripping with condescension. Like father, like son, making small things that go nowhere. I felt Jason tense beside me. Actually, I replied calmly, we're testing load distribution principles. These designs could support over 50 pounds if scaled properly. Fascinating, she said, not bothering to hide her boredom. I've been helping Richard prepare for the Griffith presentation, a $20 million campaign. Evan, do you even understand what that kind of success looks like? I think I'm beginning to, I answered, meeting her gaze steadily. Later, after putting Jason to bed, I found Catherine in our bedroom, packing an overnight bag. Another emergency meeting? I asked. She didn't even look up. The Griffith team needs last-minute changes. I'll be at the office all night. With Richard. She froze momentarily. Yes, with Richard. He's the creative director. That's how business works, Evan. And is business all it is? Catherine finally faced me, her expression cold. What exactly are you implying? I think you know. This is why you're stuck in a dead-end career, she snapped. You can't see opportunities. You can't recognize ambition. You're so content with your mediocre life that you want to drag me down with you. I refuse to take the bait. The children miss you. They'll understand someday, she said, zipping her bag closed. Success requires sacrifice. After she left, I logged into my secure email account. Tom had sent the latest report. Cornerstone now controlled 26% of Meridian's parent company shares. The quarterly board meeting was in 3 weeks. With just 5% more, I could force a vote of no confidence in Richard Vaughn's leadership. I made another call that night, to a private investigator recommended by Tom. I needed concrete evidence of the financial improprieties, but also of Catherine and Richard's affair. Not for revenge, but for protection in the inevitable custody battle to come. The pieces were falling into place. I'd spent my career building structures strong enough to withstand storms. Now, I was constructing something else, a future where my children would be protected, and where the truth would finally come to light. The quarterly board meeting of Meridian's parent company was scheduled for a Tuesday morning at their downtown headquarters. By the previous Friday, Cornerstone Investments had secured 34% ownership, more than enough to force a vote. Tom had briefed me thoroughly on corporate protocol, but nothing could fully prepare me for what was coming. I arrived early, dressed in a tailored suit that Catherine had never seen, part of my new wardrobe for this new chapter of my life. The security guard checked my credentials. Mr. Andrews? You're not on my regular list. I represent Cornerstone Investments. I replied, presenting the documents Tom had prepared. We're the largest shareholder as of last week. Minutes later, I was escorted to the boardroom where executives were gathering, coffee cups in hand, exchanging business pleasantries. Richard Vaughn stood at the head of the table, tall and polished in an expensive suit, his confidence radiating through his practiced smile. He didn't recognize me. Why would he? I was just the insignificant husband of his mistress. The room quieted as the chairman called the meeting to order. When he announced, "We have a new major stakeholder joining us today," all eyes turned to me. Evan Andrews, representing Cornerstone Investments, I said, my voice steady. We currently hold 34% of company shares. I watched Richard's expression shift from polite interest to confusion. The chairman continued with routine business matters, but I could see Richard leaning toward his CFO, whispering urgently. Glances were exchanged. Phones were checked discreetly. When we reached the agenda item labeled Executive Performance Review, I raised my hand. Cornerstone Investments wishes to express concerns about Meridian Advertising's financial reporting under current leadership. The room fell silent. The chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Andrews, that's a serious matter. Do you have specific concerns to share? I do. I opened a folder containing the evidence we gathered. For the past 18 months, Meridian has been systematically overbilling clients while delivering reduced services. The difference has been diverted through a series of shell companies that all trace back to personal accounts connected to Richard Vaughn. Chaos erupted. Richard jumped to his feet. This is preposterous. Who the hell are you? The chairman banged his gavel. Mr. Vaughn, please. Mr. Andrews, these are extremely serious allegations, which is why I've prepared documentation for each board member. I nodded to an assistant who distributed folders. You'll find evidence of the billing discrepancies, fund transfers, and client complaints that were suppressed. As board members flipped through the materials, Richard's face drained of color. He stared at me, recognition finally dawning. You're Catherine's husband. I met his gaze steadily. Yes, but that's irrelevant to the financial improprieties documented in those folders. This is a personal vendetta, Richard sputtered, looking around the table desperately. He's doing this because his wife and I are involved. This is corporate harassment. The chairman adjusted his glasses, examining the documents. Mr. Vaughn, regardless of personal matters, these allegations appear substantiated. Client testimony, bank records, email communications. He looked up gravely. We need to address this immediately. I move for a vote of no confidence in Richard Vaughn's leadership, I stated formally. And I request an immediate suspension pending a full audit. The board secretary tallied the votes. 7 in favor, 3 against. Richard's face contorted with rage. You'll regret this, he hissed as security was called to escort him from the room. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I remained composed. Actually, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. That's why we're here. As the meeting concluded, My phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. What the hell did you do? Richard just called me ranting about you at his board meeting. How? I didn't reply. The confrontation I'd been preparing for was coming, and it wouldn't happen over text. Catherine was waiting when I arrived home, pacing our living room like a caged animal. Her face was a storm of confusion and fury. Explain yourself, she demanded. How did you get into that boardroom? What did you do to Richard? Where are the kids? I asked calmly. And my mother's. Answer me, Evan. I set my briefcase down deliberately. I didn't do anything to Richard. He did it to himself by embezzling from his clients. I simply brought it to light. By somehow infiltrating a closed board meeting? By becoming a major shareholder? With what money, Evan? Your bridge-building salary. Her voice dripped with the same contempt I'd grown accustomed to. I sold my patents, I said. The ones you always dismissed as tinkering in the garage. They were worth $4.2 million. She stared at me, momentarily speechless. I continued. I established Cornerstone Investments and acquired controlling interest in Meridian's parent company. The board voted to suspend Richard based on evidence of financial fraud. This is insane, she whispered. You did all this to get back at me? For what? I removed the Burger King gift card from my wallet and placed it on the coffee table. This was just the last straw, Catherine. You've been undermining me, betraying me, and neglecting our children for over a year. While you were building your relationship with Richard, I was building something else. So this is revenge, she said bitterly. No, this is consequences. Richard broke the law. He's facing the results of his actions. I sat down across from her, just as we're now facing ours. Catherine's eyes filled with tears, whether genuine or tactical. I couldn't tell anymore. What happens now? Professionally, Meridian will undergo a complete audit. Richard will likely face criminal charges. I paused. Personally, I filed for divorce. The papers are in my briefcase. Divorce. Her voice rose. You can't just throw away 15 years of marriage. You already did that, I replied steadily. The night you started sleeping with Richard. The day you decided our children weren't worth your time. The moment you gave me a $10 fast food coupon for my birthday with a note mocking me. She collapsed onto the couch. The children will hate me. No, I said firmly. I won't allow that. They'll know we both love them, even if we can't be together. I've requested primary physical custody, but with generous visitation for you. They need their mother, Catherine, just not the version of you that's been coming home lately. And if I fight this, I met her eyes. Then we do it the hard way. But I have documentation of your affair, your absences, and your behavior toward the children. And now I have the resources to see it through. For the first time in years, Catherine looked at me, really looked at me, with something other than disdain. It wasn't love or respect, but something like surprise. I never thought you had this in you, she whispered. That was your mistake, I replied. One of many. The fallout was swift and far-reaching. Within days, news of Richard's suspension and the financial investigation hit the business press. Catherine moved out temporarily, claiming she needed space to process. The children remained with me, bringing both relief and heartache. They missed their mother, despite everything. One evening, Emma found me in the home office reviewing custody documents. Dad, can I ask you something? She said, hovering in the doorway. Always, I replied, setting the papers aside. She came in and sat across from me. Are you the one who got Mom's boyfriend fired? I considered my answer carefully. I exposed financial wrongdoing at his company. The board made the decision to suspend him. But you did it because of Mom and him, right? Because they hurt you. That was part of it, I admitted. But also because what he was doing was wrong. He was stealing from clients, lying to his company. Emma nodded slowly. Jason thinks you're like a superhero who took down the bad guy. I smiled despite myself. I'm no superhero, Em. Just a father trying to protect what matters. Is Mom a bad guy too? Her voice was small. I moved to sit beside her. No, your mom made choices I don't agree with, choices that hurt our family. But she loves you and Jason. That hasn't changed. She's been calling me a lot, crying sometimes. My heart tightened. What does she say? That she made a mistake. That she wants to come home. Emma looked up at me. Is she going to? Not to live, no. But she'll always be part of our lives as your mother. The next morning, Richard Vaughn made his move. I received an email from my bank. Someone had attempted to access my accounts using personal information that should have been private. Then Tom called. Evan, someone's trying to dig up dirt on Cornerstone. They've been reaching out to former colleagues, even your old professors at engineering school. Richard, I said. He's desperate. Likely. But there's more. Catherine filed a countersuit to your divorce petition, claiming you used marital assets without consent to fund Cornerstone. She wants half of everything. I took a deep breath. She's working with him. It appears so. Her filing mentions undue emotional distress and calculated public humiliation. She's playing the victim, Evan. I thought of the kids, especially Emma's questions. Let them dig. We've done everything legally. But Tom, I need to end this quickly for my children's sake. We could release the photos from the PI, Tom suggested. The hotel meetings, No, I interrupted firmly. I won't expose my children to that kind of public spectacle. There must be another way. Later that day, I received a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You've destroyed what I spent years building. I'll do the same to you. It was followed by a photo of my house, taken that same day from across the street. Instead of fear, I felt a cold, clear resolve. Richard had crossed another line. This wasn't just about business anymore. He was threatening my home, my children's safety. I called the police immediately, then my security consultant. By nightfall, I had a protection detail and new security system installed. I wouldn't be intimidated. Now my family was at stake. The hearing for the temporary custody arrangement was scheduled for Thursday morning. As I prepared to leave for court, Catherine arrived unexpectedly at the house. We need to talk, she said, looking uncharacteristically subdued in a conservative dress, her usual designer style replaced by something more appropriate for family court. I'm doing court in an hour, I replied, checking my watch. That's why I'm here. Call off the lawyers, Evan. We can work this out privately. I studied her face. The last I heard, you were demanding half of Cornerstone and filing complaints about emotional distress. She had the grace to look embarrassed. Richard was advising me. He was angry, pushing for aggressive action. And now, Catherine sighed. Now he's facing criminal charges for embezzlement. His reputation is ruined. And I've realized I've been misguided. That's one word for it, I said, but without malice. I don't want to fight you for the children, she continued. You're right. You should have primary custody. I wasn't present for them, even before everything. I see that now. I regarded her skeptically. What changed? Emma called me yesterday. She asked if I loved you and the kids, or if I only loved Richard and being important. Catherine's voice broke slightly. Hearing my 12-year-old daughter question my love for her, it broke something in me, Evan. Made me see what I've done. Despite everything, I felt a pang of sympathy. The children need their mother, Catherine. That's never been in question. But do they need a mother who betrayed their father? Who chose status over family? She wiped away a tear. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm asking for a chance to rebuild my relationship with Emma and Jason. On your terms. I considered her words carefully. This was the woman who had mocked me, betrayed me, threatened legal action against me. But she was also the mother of my children. Here's what I propose, I said finally. We cancel today's hearing. I maintain primary custody. You get regular visitation, supervised at first, then we'll see. We divide our assets as originally outlined in my filing, and you drop all claims against Cornerstone. And Richard, she asked quietly, I'll continue cooperating with the financial investigation. That's non-negotiable. But I won't actively use the personal evidence, unless he continues to threaten me or the children. Catherine nodded slowly. He sent me a message last night. He's leaving the country for a while. Some consulting position in Dubai. Convenient timing. I noted. Will you be joining him? No, she said firmly. My place is here, trying to earn back my children's trust, even if I've lost yours forever. As we walked toward our separate cars, Catherine paused. The Burger King card, that was cruel. I'm sorry, Evan. You deserve better. Yes, I agreed simply. I did. And so did our children. 6 months passed. The seasons changed, and so did our lives. Richard Vaughn ultimately settled with the SEC and avoided jail time, but his career in advertising was effectively over. The last I heard, he was working for a marketing firm in Dubai, far from the prestigious position he'd once held. Catherine and I finalized our divorce with surprisingly little conflict. True to her word, she focused on rebuilding her relationship with the children, showing up consistently for weekend visitations, school events, and Emma's swim meets. She found a job at a smaller agency, humbler than Meridian, but better aligned with her actual skills than her ambitions. Cornerstone Investments grew under careful management. I remained a significant shareholder in Meridian's parent company, but stepped back from active involvement once new leadership was established. My focus stayed where it belonged, on Emma and Jason, and on rebuilding our sense of family. One crisp Saturday in October, I was helping Jason practice soccer in the backyard when Catherine dropped Emma off from her swim competition. "Dad, I got second place," Emma called, racing across the yard with her medal. "That's fantastic." I hugged her, genuinely proud. Catherine approached more slowly, hands in her coat pockets. She dropped 2 seconds off her best time. "The coach says she has real potential for regional competitions. We should celebrate," I said. Jason and I were planning to grill burgers for dinner. "Would you like to stay?" The question surprised even me. 6 months ago, I couldn't imagine voluntarily sharing a meal with her. Catherine looked equally shocked. I'd like that, if it's okay with the kids." Emma and Jason eagerly agreed, and soon the 4 of us were gathered around the patio table. The conversation was cautious, but not strained. We discussed school projects, swim meets, and Jason's upcoming science fair. As Catherine helped clear the plates, she paused. "This is nice, seeing you with them. You've always been the strong one, the steady one. I just couldn't see it before." "I was always the same person," I replied. "You just wanted something different." She nodded slowly. "I did, and I lost everything that actually mattered chasing it." "Not everything," I said, glancing toward the kids who were now playing with the neighbor's dog in the yard. "You're still their mother. That hasn't changed." Later, after Catherine left and the kids were in bed, I sat on the back porch with a cup of coffee, reflecting on the journey of the past year. The pain hadn't completely vanished, but its sharp edges had softened. I no longer felt defined by Catherine's betrayal or by my response to it. My phone buzzed with a text from Tom. "Peterson Infrastructure Project needs a lead engineer. They asked for you specifically." "Interested?" I smiled. Life was moving forward. Not in the way I'd once planned, but perhaps in the way it needed to. 1 year after the boardroom confrontation that changed everything, I stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Westlake Bridge project. As lead engineer, I'd incorporated my patented sustainable design elements, creating a structure that would serve the community for generations while minimizing environmental impact. Emma and Jason stood with me, both having insisted on missing school for Dad's big day. At 13, Emma was growing into a confident young woman with her mother's beauty, but, thankfully, a more grounded perspective. Jason, now 10, had channeled his endless energy into both soccer and science, his ADHD now a strength rather than a struggle thanks to proper support. After the ceremony, a reporter approached me. "Mr. Andrews, you turned down several higher-profile projects to lead this local bridge construction. Why?" I glanced at my children before answering. "Because some things matter more than prestige. This bridge connects communities, including the one where my children are growing up. What could be more important than that?" Later that evening, we celebrated with pizza at home. Catherine joined us briefly, bringing congratulatory cupcakes before heading to her evening class. She'd returned to school for a degree in graphic design, rebuilding her career on genuine talent rather than connections. After the kids went to bed, I sat in my home office finalizing plans for Cornerstone's newest initiative, a scholarship fund for engineering students from disadvantaged backgrounds. The foundation would be named after my father, who had taught me that true strength isn't measured by titles or bank accounts, but by the lives you impact and the principles you uphold. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Richard Vaughn. "Heard about your bridge project. Impressive work. Perhaps I misjudged you." I considered responding, but ultimately set the phone aside. That chapter was closed. I had nothing left to prove to Richard, to Catherine, or to anyone else. The Burger King gift card still sat in my desk drawer, not as a reminder of humiliation, but as a milestone marking the moment when I'd reclaimed my life. Catherine had given me that $10 coupon thinking she was mocking my failed life. She never knew that her cruelty would spark not revenge, but renaissance. I now understood that the real measure of a man isn't how he handles success, but how he responds to betrayal and disappointment. Not with bitterness or brutality, but with strategic resolve and unwavering principles. As I closed my laptop and turned out the office light, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time: Complete peace with the path I'd chosen and the man I'd become. Not perfect, certainly, but authentic. Not defined by others' expectations, but by my own values. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all.